some things that will help you. In fact, you need to know to read the Gospels well, to read them wisely. Now, there's actually a lot of things I could say, but I'm going to boil it down to 3 big ideas to help you read the Gospels well. First, the Gospels are narratives, and they are most like ancient biographies. What I mean by this is that when you think of the Gospels, you should not primarily think of them as something to be kind of extracted theology out of, that you don't just boil them down and reduce the narrative. They are stories, and they're meant to be kept as stories. They're meant to be experienced as stories. We should not lose their narrative element. And what kind of stories are they? What kind of narratives are they? Well, we know from studies in other ancient literature that the Gospels are very much like other ancient biographies. That is, they are telling the story of a particular person. They focus all their energy on a particular person. They're not just telling a general history. They're saying, here's a person who is worthy of emulation and following. In fact, to actually be a disciple of this person. So that's the first point. Second thing you need to know to read the Gospels well is to answer the question, how many Gospels are there? Well, the answer to that is actually kind of complex, because on the one hand, when you ask how many Gospels about Jesus Christ were written, the answer is actually many. We know of a lot of these other Gospels from the ancient world, the Gospel of Peter and the Gospel of Thomas and others. There are a lot that were written. But the answer, when you begin to narrow it down within Orthodox Christianity, is that it becomes very clear that there are 4 Gospels, 4 that are recognized as directly coming from the apostles and from eyewitnesses of the events, and that those 4 are testified to and are given authority as being the canonical Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But there's actually one more sort of twist on the story, and that is that from the earliest days of the church, they didn't really think of those 4 Gospels as 4 separate Gospels. They thought of the answer to the question, how many Gospels are there? The answer to that was 1. That there's 1 Gospel according to 4 witnesses, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So that's the second question to ask. How many Gospels are there? It's really many, 4, and 1. And then the third and final question to ask about how to read the Gospels well is, how do the Gospels relate to one another? Because when you begin to read them, you see that there's a lot of overlap between them, and at the same time, there's distinction. There's differences between them. Well, the answer to that is, how do they relate well? The answer to that is that they are both dependent on each other. They clearly are using each other. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are all aware of each other, it seems pretty clear. And they are also distinct. They have their unique sources, and they're each providing something of their own. They probably have some oral traditions that are behind them, but they also have distinct sources that are unique to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. So taking these questions together, these ideas, these will help us begin on the great journey of reading the Gospels well, reading them wisely, to think about these sort of key ideas as we enter this exploration of the Gospels.